people like me. You need people like me so you can point your f***ing fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
De la noche, Stephanie Piñeiro.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. What is Katie Taylor's 2025 schedule? Katie was quoted as saying, I could possibly fight Amanda Serrano and Chantel Cameron both this year. This could possibly be the biggest year of my career with opponents like that.
What those fights might pay, you damn right.
So when I heard this proposed schedule for Katie, what immediately came to mind was a recent article from the Irish Star that Katie was overlooked in the new rankings after winning the second fight with Amanda Serrano.
Some popular periodicals that do not rank Katie Taylor at number one. Katie Taylor is missed out on the number one spot in the Ring Magazine Women's Pound-for-Pound rankings despite retaining 6 titles in her defeat of Amanda Serrano just 2 months ago. The Irish woman took her professional record to 24-1 with that unanimous decision win over the Puerto Rican on November 15th of last year, retaining her WBA, WBC, IBF, WBO, and IBO titles and the Ring Female Light Welterweight titles on the undercard of Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, yet it wasn't enough to put her top of the latest leaderboard.
So who did I have on top?
Instead, it is the Michigan-born Clarissa Shields who has been handed that title, leaving Taylor at number 2 despite the 29-year-old not having fought since last summer when she defeated Canadian fighter Vanessa LePage Joannese with a second-round KO.
It's important to note that at the time this article was published, Clarissa had not yet fought Danielle Perkins, the fight that took place yesterday. But let's be honest, how does the name of Danielle Perkins stack up with a name like Amanda Serrano or Chantel Cameron before that? Why is Clarissa Shields being ranked ahead of Katie when Katie's quality of competition is head and shoulders above Clarissa's?
Think about their last 2 opponents. A 42-year-old Danielle Perkins, who only had 5 fights and never fought in a 10-rounder.
This is supposed to be better than fighting Amanda Serrano? Vanessa LePage Joannese, she's supposed to be better than winning undisputed from Chantel Cameron?
Beating her is better than beating Chantel.
I think that if you took an independent poll asking that question, it would get a resounding no. Those girls are not better than the girls that Katie is fighting. But if they're not, why is Clarissa ranked ahead of her?
Favoritism.
Those who are ignorant, or those who choose to be, as to who's really fighting the best and who's really fighting the better fighters. Is it Katie or Clarissa? Because that should matter.
Well, it's like what they do with Gervonta Davis. They want you to believe that he's the same caliber of fighter as, say, Canelo or Crawford or Inoue, having not done the same things they've done. With Clarissa,
they want you to believe that Clarissa is better than Katie Taylor, having not faced the same level of opposition as Katie Taylor. So long as the sanctioning bodies are willing to manufacture alphabet titles for her to win in these barren divisions, they can keep up that illusion. And bear in mind that Clarissa and Katie debuted as professionals in the same year, but Katie's more active.
So not only is the quality of competition better than Clarissa's, but she fights them more often.
In a very general sense, there are those who have no discernible criterion for what makes a pound-for-pound fighter a pound-for-pound fighter. They would prefer it stay vague and nebulous because they know underneath it all, some fighters won't make the cut.
Not once you set a standard and stick to it.
What they like to say is that all pound-for-pound is if all these fighters were the same size, who would win? But there are a lot of different ways to arrive at that conclusion, to answer that question.
Quality of competition is one of them. Yeah, Clarissa might look more dominant in her fights than Katie's because she's not fighting the same level of fighters that Katie is as often as Katie's doing it. Now, I've never seen Katie Taylor herself complain,
Bellyaching about who Ring Magazine has at number 1, or ESPN, or BoxRec, or Transnational.
She won't, but I will, because this is stupid.
It's been this way for a while now. I suppose that will provide some consolation to Clarissa Shields, who certainly doesn't earn as much as Katie Taylor. She doesn't actually have Katie's drawing power, but that the boxing scribes themselves are willing to stroke her ego.
Lazy analysis.
And maybe they just don't want to have to deal with her mouth. That if they did have somebody else in that number 1 spot, Clarissa would never shut up about it.
Lesser of two evils.
Back to Katie's schedule. Anticipated trilogies with both Amanda and Chantel.
It's ambitious and in keeping with everything we've seen from Katie Taylor, both as an amateur and a professional. She only wants to fight the best.
Men's welterweight news ahead of the Ryan Garcia versus Rolly Romero fight. Apparently, it's going to be for a WBA quote-unquote world welterweight title. What does this mean?
I thought the WBA welterweight champion was a Montestenionis, who's en route to a Jaron Ennis unification match for those 2 alphabet titles. Has the WBA manufactured a title so that Ryan and Rolly can have something to fight for?
No, it's more so that they have a reason to crash their party and get a piece of the action, a piece of the fighters' purses via those hefty sanctioning fees. Wherever boxers are earning big money, the sanctioning bodies are sure to follow with their trinkets. Ryan Garcia, on more than one occasion, has said he doesn't care about alphabet titles, so this is not to accommodate him.
And it's not to accommodate Rolly. All you need to accommodate Rolly is some crayons and a coloring book.
They're accommodating themselves by crashing Ryan and Rolly's party because they know these 2 guys are about to make 7-figure purses for fighting each other. They want in on that action. It's a parasitic relationship that these sanctioning bodies have with the boxers. They're not the gatekeepers of a standard because they don't have one.
Their function is supposed to be to give a division a pecking order, a hierarchy, but when you're fast-tracking 2 fighters who have done absolutely nothing in this division to a version of your title, it's clear you ain't got no standard to keep.
Fast-tracking them ahead of all the fighters in your top 10, your top 15 at welterweight to a version of your title.
Ridiculous.
Rolly Romero himself has warned Ryan Garcia he can miss weight. I got the biggest balls in boxing. Rolando Romero has revealed specific details around his upcoming clash with Ryan Garcia. The bout will take place at 147 pounds. Romero told the media on Saturday, while in attendance in Vegas to watch Benavidez versus David Morrell, Romero and Garcia will fight in May as part of a Ring Magazine show in the United States. Both fighters will be making their welterweight debuts should 147 pounds indeed be the contracted weight for the clash. It's something everyone has waited for about 8 years or so. I've been calling this boy out for a very long time, said Romero. It's about time. I've been calling for this shit for years. When we were both 135 pounders, I said F that shit. I wanted it 147. I'm happy he missed weight in his last fight against Devin Haney. I mean, he can miss weight with me. I don't care. Personalities like mine only come once in a generation. I've got the biggest balls in boxing, and I am the biggest shit talker in the game.
But far from the best fighter, far from the best at 135, 140, and 147. The best way to describe Rolly Romero's career is dumb luck.
Dumb is right. Do you remember last year when Rolly Romero passed on fighting Ryan Garcia in a main event so he could go fight Isaac Cruz on an undercard?
Just to get knocked out. It would seem that opportunity has come back around.
Sort of irreverent and childish character is more to the American boxing scene's liking and their affinity, their penchant for making stupid people famous. Rolly Romero has been summoned as an appetizer to a main course, a prelude, if you will, a tune-up opponent for Ryan Garcia, one safe enough that Ryan can make it to that Devin Haney trilogy as opposed to who Devin is fighting.
A former Olympian and unified champion in Jose Ramirez.
Now, Rolly and Ryan, given their respective audiences and the people who follow them, don't actually need any version of a WBA title on the line to spruce up their fight.
That ain't for them.
For their benefit or the marketability of this fight was going to do whatever it was going to do without some trinket title on the line. That's just the WBA crashing their party. And Ryan and Devin's rematch, if they both make it there, that's not about an alphabet title either. That's unfinished business.
It's got nothing to do with a belt.
This is how boxing takes away from its own reputation, because you got guys that are already there at welterweight, already ranked and already fighting in eliminators to climb up those ranks to one day fight for a version of a WBA title so that you can skip all of them and give that opportunity to these two guys who likely don't even care about your belt.
We know they don't.
Perhaps that's why a champion in postmodern boxing is not viewed through the same lens as, say, a tennis champion or a PGA champion, champions in the NFL, the NBA,
Or the MLB. It's not viewed as prestigious as those honors.
You make it easier for everybody to get there, and it takes away from its luster, its meaning. And never mind that there are 4 of yous doing this. There are 4 separate alphabet organizations that offer a fighter a chance to become a quote-unquote champion, further diluting the sport of boxing.
What else is new?
I don't view Rolly as a potential banana skin for Ryan because Rolly sucks. He sucked at 135, he sucked at 140, and he still sucks now.
He's actually here more for his personality than his pugilism.
Perhaps it's what some might consider his boyish charm or his comedic timing, but all I see is an idiot.
I don't find him amusing.
But some people do, and that's what lends itself to the profile and marketability of this fight. No, it's not my cup of tea, but I have to acknowledge that there are people out there that would be interested in seeing these two morons throw book bags at each other.
How confident are you, David, that you will fight the winner of Better Be a Bivol?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident. To be honest, the only thing that I'm thinking about is that if Bivol wins this fight, like what they would have to do a rubber match.
Who says they gotta do a rubber match?
You know what I mean? And like I'm just like thinking, who am I to say that they can't fight another fight because they've fought 2 great fights.
Turkey already stated he wants to put you in the ring with the winner of that fight, so much so he's flying you out to be there ringside. The only one who keeps talking about a trilogy, it's not Artur and it's not Dimitri, it's not Turkey either, it's David.
So that's basically the only thing I'm thinking of right now. But I would, if that's something like that would happen, I think I wouldn't fight until they get that done with, and then I would move into that fight after they have a trilogy.
Yeah, right.
So that's really the only thing I'm thinking right now.
But that would be a long break for you. Like, let's say conceivably they fight again October. Who knows? I know this was a quick turnaround, but they take that break during and now you're fighting again at least next year, like early next year. My take on it is, I thought Dimitri Bivol won the first fight. I know it was close. If he wins it again, we need a break from those two. As much as I'd love to see them fight 10 times, you waiting in the wings is just so fresh and fun. And I'm not just saying it because you're here. I would say it if you weren't here. You fight the winner, and then we kind of, do
a circle back.
Yes. It's too. And so, have you ever sat down with Turkey? Do you have any kind of relationship with him?
I've talked to him on the phone. My dad has sat down and talked to him. But I think we're going to go over there February 22nd. So we'll probably figure everything out.
I'd be surprised if he goes.
If Bivol wins again, or if he wins. So, but yeah, that is probably too much of a long time. So, yeah, we'll see what happens, man. But like the good thing is that we got a lot of big things coming up. We got potentially unification coming up, and
potential unification coming up with who? Who's unifying? I think he let something slip.
Not a unification, a unified champion.
I think now I proved to everybody, what level I'm on, and I think I proved to everybody how much heart I have. So. Me against anybody, bro. I'll bet the house on me against anybody, and I'm just looking forward to keep making history.
I love the fact that you're going there. Be there in the front row. Make your presence felt. Let them know that they are not only fighting for each other's belts, but for the prize to fight you. That's the way to do it. Do you have a preference? Would you prefer, if you had your pick of the two, do you have a preference as to who you'd fight?
To be honest with you, I would pick Bivol because Bivol beat Canelo.
You see how he always circles back to Canelo? Finds different ways to interject Canelo into the conversation. Canelo's still at 168.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, when I beat Bivol, that'll make my case even better than Canelo. And I know Dimitri Bivol really well. I've sparred him a lot. You know, he's a great fighter. And we've had a lot of great sparring sessions, you know, so I definitely would love to fight Bivol.
President of the David Benavidez fan club, Jerry Soriano, tagged me to the sit-down interview thinking he'd hit pay dirt when all I see is the same red flags I've been seeing.
He said, damn, the slow train wreck in 2025 is picking up steam.
What train wreck is that? You calling the boxing voice to complain about me in the middle of the afternoon? Have you nothing better to do and nothing else on your mind than what I forecast? Does it bother you that much? Are you that afraid?
It's the latter. Jerry
Big Jer.
watches this channel enough that he already knows I'm usually right about this kind of stuff. I'm not always right. Nobody's right 100% of the time, but I'm right pretty often enough.
I mean, he can't get it out of his mind. It's all he talks about. It seems to be all he thinks about as it pertains to boxing. There is so much more going on, and your guy just fought.
We're a ways out from all of this coming to a head, but you're so nervous.
So bothered, you can't just sit tight and let it all play out. That if you're that confident,
You don't need to keep telling me and tagging me and calling the boxing voice about me. What do you want them to do?
it's not enough that they're high on David Benavidez and I'm not. You want me to join in the party? For what?
I already warned you about that guy. Like I warned people about Errol Spence Jr. should he ever fight Terrence Crawford. Like I warned people about Tyson Fury should he ever fight Alexander Usyk.
So maybe that's what it is. Near as I can tell, David Benavidez is hoping that there is a trilogy, so he has an adequate excuse to move on. Because if there isn't one, and Artur wins again, you've got to go fight him. You prefer Dimitri Bivol because you sparred him before. The devil that you know.
You figure that you're not under much threat of being knocked out by Dimitri, and at the very worst, he will outpoint you.
Whereas Artur's a bit more dangerous because he can take it out of the judge's hands. There's nothing to argue about after that.
No judges to rely on.
You've heard the same stories as everybody else. You know what he's capable of, and you don't fancy that fight. You say that you would prefer to fight Dimitri because he beat Canelo, but Artur beat Dimitri.
So shouldn't you prefer to fight him? He's the one who's undisputed right now.
Oh, no, because he scored the fight for Dimitri, his old sparring partner.
Sure, buddy. Whatever you say.
I ain't gotta do a whole lot, Jerry. All I gotta do is sit tight and wait for your buddy, your guy, to prove me right. And he will.
There is a difference between intelligence and wisdom. You think you're smart.
Intelligence is knowing that a tomato is a fruit, but wisdom is knowing not to put it in a fruit salad, Jerry. Have you ever heard that one?
Wisdom.
Do you really think it's intelligent attaching this much of your own ego to a fighter when fighters rise and fall like the wheat?
You can't make decisions for him, Jerry. You might want him to prove me wrong, but ultimately it's up to him.
And I know. He's gonna fail you.
He's gonna let you down. And when he does, I'll be there.
I'll find you. And so, I'm forced to revisit this same old subject, the same old topic that I've already addressed multiple times because Jer can't leave it alone.
He's beside himself with anxiety.
Just drink a bit of water with lime in it and relax.